You will read this. Now we have declassified documents. One ship was 700 miles from the line, another was 1,200 miles from the line. No destroyers. But they were stopped. It was understood by the Americans, and they allow other Soviet ships to go through because they wanted to show Khrushchev understood you. So making the back and forth, and then sometime on the third day, both sides came to the conclusion: it is too dangerous. We can find the resolution of the crisis. United States not invade Cuba. You will take your missiles out. This signal was sent by the President Kennedy to Khrushchev, and Khrushchev sent the same message to the President. And we know that it was the problem also with communication, how dangerous this was. Because now we even cannot think what was there. You can imagine the American president writing the letter to the Prime Minister Khrushchev, sending to the embassy. They're receiving this in full rush, translating, coded, and calling to the Western Union. Western Union sending the message on the bicycle. They're hearing this, it is from Kennedy to Khrushchev. I will collect another messages, they will be in time. So it was different, pushing back and forward, and on that day it was very successful. I understand CIA pushed forward when one of the Soviet officials gathering around the Washington DC, and he went to the press club. The barman, his friend, was Russian, but was not Soviet spy. I think he was related to CIA. He told, "Oh, we have here American journalist Rogers with farewell but drink. He's leaving to cover the invasion." And he sent this message to Khrushchev, and Khrushchev was scared. Invasion, it will be the end. And so he put back his prepared letter when he ready to trade these, including the Turkish and the Italian missiles that was agreed in advance with the American president, and dictated his emotional letter, sending there, just rushing there. What happened with this letter? It's waited in line in London for 6 hours. Through this, they discovered that this Rogers did not flew to Florida. He's still at home. He ready to accept invitation for the lunch next day. So when Khrushchev received this, he decided to catch this bird that fly out of the cage for its tail. And he grabbed the first letter and sent this to the radio without any delaying. But it was too late, and we know this mystery of the two letters. Only two people in Moscow knew what was really behind them, two Kennedys, but they kept silent because it is very different thing if it was Khrushchev offering that I will take missiles out, not invade Cuba, or it was the President Kennedy saying I will not invade Cuba, take your missiles out. The same things, but very different for the domestic policy. So then it was Black Saturday, Moscow. It was the report of the Soviet ambassador in Washington about his meeting with Robert Kennedy. And we know from certain days Robert Kennedy told, I entered there and I imposed the ultimatum there. But the way Ted Sorensen told us, I edited this book to make it strong for the presidential campaign. What the ambassador wrote, he told, I met Robert Kennedy, he came very tight, pale, with red eyes, and told, it is strong pressure on the American president to begin invasion. He resisted, and Khrushchev told, we have to help Kennedy. And then he received a letter from the President Castro, who told, American invasion inevitable, I authorize you to strike American first. My father told the young men don't understand and nobody planned to use these weapons, it's just signal. We can to take them out as soon as possible. And so it was that made the decision to take these missiles out, and it was the resolution of the crisis that created that much bigger trust between both people, because Khrushchev, my father repeatedly told that we are very different with the President Kennedy. We protect our values, he protects their values, we have one in common, we can do together to make the peace on the earth and prevent the war. Very similar with President Kennedy's speech at the American University. After that speech in 1963, I was in the Defense Council, and Khrushchev told them, when we will have 400 warheads, it will be enough to our security. We can reduce our armed forces up to the 1 million or 500,000 and stop production most of the conventional weapons. And then they created this direct line. It was just bore of two wires from the Western Union. They signed the nuclear test ban treaty. They was ready to join to the moon. So I think that would they be a little bit longer on their office, we could come to the end of the Cold War in the end of the 60s. But history decided differently. And then Kennedy was killed, Khrushchev was ousted of power, and we returned to this massive build-up. Who won the crisis? It was different time, we talk about different people. Americans claim Americans, Soviet claim as Soviets. Last time I heard it was Fidel Castro. But yeah, because he's still here. But I am answering very differently. We won. We can speak about this 50 years after. If the Kennedy will be weaker, if the Kennedy will follow all these senators, military governors, and declare the invasion, inevitably the commander on the ground, 4-star general, will use their nuclear weapons. And can you imagine what will be the reaction of this country if they repeat more than 100,000 Americans killed? What will be the next? I don't want even to think about this. So what is the lesson? We have negotiated. We have negotiated with Iran because we don't know what they want. We imposed on them unconditional surrender, and we know it was only 2 examples in our history about unconditional surrender. It is Germany and Japan after 4 years of the war. Are they reasonable? I don't know. I heard this on the 60 Minutes interview with the former head of the Israel intelligence. He told me that is very reasonable. We are now putting pressure on China, saying let's be tough with China. I cannot even imagine how it can be tough on the country that borrow her money. No, I'm very serious because we're talking, we can impose our military pressure on them. But what will happen next? If we will just make Chinese enough unhappy, they will say all American treasure bonds on sale. I experienced this in the Soviet Union. I don't want to have any other experience on such things. So this lesson, you have to negotiate with enemies and then you will resolve any crisis. Thank you.